Crimson Trace announces Laser Guard Pro for today's most popular concealed carry firearms, combining a red or green laser sight with 150 lumen light, taking personal defense to the next level. Available now at your local dealer.
This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email Tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
All right, back with you. Tom Gresham, 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. If you're paying at all any attention, you know there's an awful lot going on the legal front these days. Of course, you have Congress, or actually the Senate, arguing, fighting, fussing, acting like children about the latest Supreme Court nomination, Judge Gorsuch, who I hope will be confirmed onto the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court now sits at a 4-4, 4 left, 4 right, which means nothing gets done, or if something gets brought up there, it's liable to go back. So whatever the lower courts are deciding, that stands. And yet there are some very important cases that are going to go to the Supreme Court. Gun cases, gun rights cases. And there's no one, literally no one, who knows this subject better than our next guest. Alan Gura is a civil rights attorney. He argued the Heller case, the McDonald case, before the Supreme Court, and has argued a whole lot of other cases, including one just very recently. Did you not, Alan, out there in California?
I did. Thanks so much again for having me, Tom.
Absolutely. So tell people what you were doing before the Ninth Circuit.
Sure. So I argued an appeal in a case called Pena versus Lindley in the Ninth Circuit. This is a challenge to California's handgun rostering law. Now, those listeners of yours who don't live in the Golden State may be surprised to know that California has an unbelievably convoluted handgun banning scheme. It dates back a number of years. It started innocently enough with an effort by the state to weed out of the market guns that malfunctioned, guns that were poorly made, that were liable to misfire if dropped, the kind of things that nobody would want. Nobody wants to have a gun that blows up in your hand or jams,
Sure.
especially at a critical moment. But then the light bulb went off, and they just said, we can use the screening process for handguns to require that handguns be made the way that we want them to be made, never mind what the market, what the American consumer has come to expect. And so they started making requirements that handgun manufacturers didn't want to meet or could not meet. First, they required all new semi-automatic handguns to have a loaded chamber indicator as well as a magazine disconnect mechanism so that the gun wouldn't fire even if there's a round in the chamber, so long as the magazine is out of the frame. Now, there are people who want these features. There are many people who do not. And in fact, very few guns in America have both of those features. But if you don't have both of those features, you're banned in California. Then they decided that they would require microstamping. That is this idea that when the gun is fired, the shell casing is imprinted with a microscopic array of numbers or symbols that the police can then pick up the shell casing and trace the gun to the original purchaser. The problem with this is, aside from the fact it's a little bit science fiction, is that there is no way to build a handgun that imprints those characters the way that California wants them imprinted. And so what we've seen is, ever since 2013, you cannot sell in California any newly designed semi-automatic handguns. And there are many, many handguns that you simply can't obtain in that state. Some of the most popular models, some of the most common models can't be had. And the manufacturers are starting to leave the state because they can't legally sell their guns. So we're challenging this. There are other problems with this rostering law. For example, even if they determine a handgun is not unsafe and they allow it to be sold, sometimes the manufacturer chooses not to support the model. If the manufacturer goes out of business, or stop sending in, for whatever reason, an annual renewal fee for that model, the model becomes suddenly unsafe and can't be purchased anymore. What we've seen is a dramatically shrinking roster, and it's becoming harder and harder and harder to obtain any handgun in California. So we challenged that, and we argued our appeal in San Francisco before the Ninth Circuit a couple weeks ago.
All right, let me add in here. The Pena case, for those who are thinking, I thought I remember hearing about that some time ago. It has been, if my number is right, 2,894 days since this case was originally filed. Almost 3,000 days since this case was originally filed. Am I correct about this?
Yes, you're correct. We filed this case back in 2009, okay? And it took until, it took until, I believe it was 2014 to get a decision out of the district court. We were repeatedly held. The case was repeatedly stayed. Every time some gun issue was up before the Court of Appeal, even if it had not a whole lot to do with our case, the judge said, well, hold on, let's freeze. I don't want to decide anything. Wait for the Court of Appeal to answer the next question. And so we repeatedly had stays. We finally got out in 2014. I was disappointed. We lost the case. The district court said that it didn't even implicate the Second Amendment.
We can ban guns, but it has nothing to do with the Second Amendment.
That's right. We lost it to so-called Step 1 because it was just a regulation on selling guns, and you only have the right to keep a gun and not to sell them. And in any event, the state said, look, it's okay that people are still buying so long as we allow a single model of handgun, then we have not violated the Second Amendment. And in fact, an argument, the state's lawyer said, look, if California said, here's one handgun model, that's the only one you get, and we gave it to everyone, that would be enough. So we can ban everything.
Hey, Alan, tell them your comeback to that in court when you brought in the idea of doing that with churches.
Sure, we can't say, we're going to ban your God. We can't have some other gods you can worship. You can go to some other church. We'll ban your church, all the other churches. We'll have one official state church. Obviously, there's a problem with that. Or books. Religion, you can buy books, just the only books we're telling you to buy. You have a right to speech as long as you can say what we want.
Imagine if you had a state-sponsored approved book list and you couldn't publish or buy any books that were not on the state-approved list.
How about a state-approved list of contraceptives? You can buy a condom, we'll ban the birth control pill.
Sure. Okay, so, all right, so this is your argument. And I looked at some of it. This is one of those courts that actually allows cameras in. It looked as though you were getting some pretty good feedback. I know you don't want to handicap this thing or how you think it's going to go, but how do you think it's going to go?
Well, I think that the court was very receptive to our arguments. Obviously, it's foolish to make predictions based on the arguments. Sometimes things go very differently, and anything can happen. Look, I think we got a fair hearing for a change. That does not always happen in every court. Sometimes judges don't appear like they're conversant with the case or that they are open to arguments. But I think that this panel was interested. I think they were engaged. And who knows, hopefully someday they'll decide the case and we might prevail. I don't think that would be the end of it, of course, because especially in the Ninth Circuit, any kind of pro-gun rights decision is usually reheard by a larger panel. That's been the pattern as well over there.
All right, hold that thought. When I come back, I want to talk about that. As things head toward the Supreme Court, not just this one, but others, what's going on there. I'm talking with Alan Gura, of course, noted civil rights attorney and Second Amendment supporter. We'll be right back with more Gun Talk.
In the war on terror, fighting crime in the streets, in competition and homes around the world, one name in firearms stands out: Sig Sauer. Our pistols and rifles are renowned for their unfailing performance. This same commitment to excellence can be found in our line of SigTac accessories and the training offered by the Sig Sauer Academy. For unmatched quality, reliability, and innovation when it counts, choose Sig Sauer. Visit SigSauer.com today.
If you're like me, you don't have money to burn, but you still want to buy guns, ammo, and accessories. That's why we created Gun Dealio. That's a free, yes, a free smartphone app. Just download it and start getting the deals. Could be discounts, offers of free magazines for your gun, or you could be the first to hear about new stuff from gun makers. Here's how it works. With Gun Dealio on your phone, you get alerts when you enter a gun store. Special deals, you know. You don't have to do a thing. It'll do a lot of other cool things, like let you watch gun videos and listen to Gun Talk podcast. Plus, check it anytime for hundreds of deals and offers. Getting more while spending less. Smart, huh? Gun Dealio. Made in America. Gluten-free. At the App Store and Google Play or GunDealio.com.
Every crossbreed holster is handmade based on the design invented by our founder. A Kydex pocket molded around your gun for perfect retention. Leather backing for comfort. Specially designed clips allow you to tuck in your shirt for complete concealment. The highest quality mag carriers and belts sturdy enough to hold any gun. Our holsters come with a lifetime warranty and 2-week try-it-free guarantee. Crossbreed. Conceal and carry the cross. CrossbreedHolsters.com.
We're talking with Alan Gura, noted first and second, First and Second Amendment supporter, attorney, civil rights attorney, talking about the Pena case. In California, let me fast track this. In California, they have a list of approved handguns that can be sold there. They keep putting more restrictions on them, and now the latest restriction is one that is impossible to meet, literally, physically, manufacturally, if that's such a word, impossible to make a gun that meets the criteria. So the list of approved guns to sell in California just keeps getting, shorter and shorter and shorter to the point where there will at some point be none, which I think is probably the goal. And so that's being challenged in court and just went before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Alan, my question for you now, as you look at this, okay, that's done. You'll get a decision. It'll either be for you or against you. But as you say, that's probably not the end of it. I mean, this thing is going to end up going to the Supreme Court. Does that make sense? Is that what we're thinking?
It is what we're thinking. The Second Amendment Foundation and Calguns Foundation, which are backing the case, are going to take this case all the way up to the Supreme Court. There's no question of that, if it needs to go there. I have no doubt that our opponents will take it there if they lose. But the bottom line is, look, these guns are protected by the Second Amendment. The Gen 4 Glocks, the M&P Shield, all these guns, can't get them in California. Our argument is very simple. Are these handguns of the type that Americans have come to expect would be available to them for self-defense? Yes. Therefore, they cannot be banned, period, end of story, even if the state would prefer that they do other things. It's just that simple.
Let's put that together with this decision that just came out of the Fourth Circuit, where they supported Maryland's so-called assault weapons ban, basically saying that the AR-15, there's really no difference between that and M16, and totally ignoring the Heller decision where it says you can't ban guns that are in common use. There's one position that says this actually may be good, this Colby decision, in that they're so far off base that now the Supreme Court is going to have to figure out, did we really mean it when we said you can't ban guns in common use? Is it possible they've gone so far that they're going to force the Supreme Court to reinforce Heller finally?
I think that's a distinct possibility, and that's always the case in the law. If a lower court goes so far, if it really stretches in such a way that they take a very adventurous position, it's exposed perhaps to challenge more than some other position. The innovation in the Maryland case is that up until now, courts in the assault weapons cases have usually agreed that things like the AR-15 are arms of the kind in common use. It's really hard to say that magazines containing more than 10 rounds are unusual or dangerous and unusual, or that the AR-15 is an exotic thing. It's not. What they've done, though, is they've said, okay, we accept that these things are covered by the Second Amendment, but then they apply some sort of balancing tests and justify a prohibition because the state's interests are allegedly strong enough to overcome the right. I don't think that's correct. For sure, that's not what Heller intended as well. Heller rejected balancing tests to sustain gun prohibitions. But this is, in now, quite a different species of animal, where they're saying, no, that the AR-15 is essentially a military weapon that's not something that civilians expect to find available to them. That's just nutty talk, and I think that is.
I love that legal talk you got there.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm not aware of any military force in the world that issues semi-automatic rifles as a standard, only
right.
item. And in any event, no question, these are arms that people have in America.
Okay, so obviously we're looking at probably, almost certainly, the Pena case is going to go there. The Colby case from the Fourth Circuit is going to go to the Supreme Court. And as the Supreme Court stands right now, they would probably both they wouldn't even accept them, allowing a negative lower court decision to stand. But there will be 9 justices on the Supreme Court, almost certainly, by the time these cases get there, right?
I should hope so.
And
Absolutely.
If it is Judge Gorsuch...
Well, based on Judge Gorsuch's history, his writings, his approach to the Constitution, I feel very confident that he would probably be very receptive to the Second Amendment rights of American citizens. He's not really written a whole lot on this particular topic, but we can surmise based on his approach to deciding constitutional cases, his approach to originalism, that he's someone who's probably going to be very fair-minded when it comes to this. And so, I sure hope that he is confirmed. It's definitely an upgrade over Judge Merrick Garland, who I believe would have supplied the 5th vote to overrule Heller. He did have a record on firearms. It was a negative one. And so let's all hope and await Judge Gorsuch's elevation to the Supreme Court.
And possibly even contact your United States senator to say, hey, I want this guy in, Get with
Absolutely.
the program, and even if it's a Democrat, say, look, and here's the deal: you got to come back here and get reelected. I'll still be here, and I have a long memory, and that's simply the way the game is played. That's hardball, and that's what politics is.
Absolutely. Look, we have, for better or worse, direct election of senators since the 17th Amendment in the early part of the 20th century. These people have to vote the way that their constituents would expect them to vote. They have to represent their constituents' values, and if that senator cannot support a Supreme Court justice who would support your Second Amendment rights, then perhaps you should not support that senator next time he or she runs for re-election. It's that simple, and they need to know that.
Yeah, and if you say, okay, well, I know the senator doesn't really care about what we want back home, I will tell you the one thing he or she does care about is getting reelected, because they love being a member of the most exclusive club in the world, and to lose that seat means everything to them. That is the one piece of leverage. That's the strongest lever you have, is to say, okay, I'm going to make it my life's work to dog you everywhere that you go to campaign. I'm going to go everywhere, and I am going to tell everybody I know, and I'm going to spend my money, and I'm going to work for your defeat next time. You will know my name.
Yes, absolutely. And it's not just this Supreme Court justice, it's the next one, and it's the 100+ vacancies in the lower federal courts that President Trump needs to fill as well, because those are important too. Look, we can't just fight this thing in the Supreme Court. Right now, we are facing an onslaught of intense opposition in the lower federal courts, where our ideological opponents have pretty much had the run of the day for a long time. And there are a lot of judges throughout the system, the federal system, who simply don't have a very deep appreciation for the Second Amendment. So it's important that as vacancies arise and new judges are appointed, that those new judges have perhaps a different outlook on the right to keep and bear arms. And that's something that senators have every right to enforce and to expect to see done.
I love it. You say they don't have a real appreciation for the Second Amendment. I'm thinking they have a very active antipathy to it. They don't believe that there actually is a right to keep and bear arms in many cases.
That's right. Or they don't think it's a very important right, or they're just for whatever reason, they come from a world where every restriction looks reasonable, and they just don't really care. And it's not taken seriously. It is not viewed as a right that's equal to the other rights in some places, and that needs to change. And the only way that's going to change is if people put political pressure on their elected representatives to make sure that we get better judges in the federal courthouses.
All right. I know that we talked about this privately. You were not a real Donald Trump fan, probably, maybe still are not. But in your view, as you look at the courts today, are gun owners going to be better off with who gets put on courts under this administration?
I think gun owners are already better off with just the fact of Judge Gorsuch being the nominee instead of Judge Garland. I would love it if President Trump would keep on proving me wrong. I was very skeptical. I thought his list of nominees was basically worth about as much as some other piece of paper that he signed. But you know what? He's proved me wrong on this. I'm delighted. I really wish that this would continue. We've not seen too many nominees to the lower courts yet. That's okay. I think it's still a little bit early for that. But hey, by all means, if we can get more judges of the caliber of Judge Gorsuch, then that would be a wonderful thing for Americans. It would be a wonderful thing for anyone who appreciates our Constitution, and including the Second Amendment. And I am very happy to give credit where it's due. If good things are happening, that's fantastic. I'm very happy to acknowledge that and to encourage more of that.
Excellent. I hope he keeps surprising you, Alan.
I hope so, too. Go for it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I know that this is hard work. It's long. It's expensive. It's all the rest of it. I just ask people to keep supporting it. But, Alan Gura, I am so glad that you are out there because you are so effective and so good at this.
Well, thank you so much. Likewise, Tom. We need you to stay out there on the airwaves and educate the people on the situation. All right.
Take care. Keep fighting, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Alan Gura, scary smart. Boy, I'm glad he's on our side. And yeah, the stuff is expensive. And yes, it's like the Second Amendment Foundation and Cal Guns Foundation are funding this one. I can go to I went this morning, Cal Guns Foundation website, went there, throw another $1 or $2 into the pot. That'll work. 866-TALK-GUN.
Gun Talk encourages you to support the local sporting goods store, gun stores, ATV dealers, and other local businesses in your area who advertise on this station and Gun Talk. Only together can we protect our rights. You're listening to Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
Tell you what, I want to talk about this self-defense shooting in Oklahoma in just a sec. I have some things to say about that. The young man who used the AR-15 shot and killed 3 intruders. But first, I want to get Bob in here because he's called in and he's on line 2 out of Missouri. Bob, you saw the tweet, huh?
Yeah, I sure did. Said they asked for a trigger hat.
He's looking for a hat. Now, we got a whole stack of hats in the back, and we're going to be grabbing one and sending it to you. Don't know what you're going to get. Just depends on what Sarah picks up and sends out your way, but we're going to get your address. So I put on Twitter, if you call in, we're going to get a free hat. So we'll get you a hat. So what, in fact, by the way, at the end of this call, do not hang up because we've got to get your address. What is your favorite caliber?
Oh, Michelle asked me that. 500 Magnum, I guess. It's a challenge. I've got a nice handgun in it. Yeah, you got one of the Smith & Wesson X-frames? Yeah, it's one of the Bone Collector limited edition ones. And
nice.
I'm a handgun hunter, and it's pretty darn accurate.
So are you hunting whitetails? What do you hunt with your handgun?
Yeah, whitetails. That's about all we've got in this part of the country.
Sure, I understand. But you got some good sized whitetails in Missouri. All right, Bob, hold on here. Michelle's going to get your address, and we'll get you a hat sent out. I appreciate that. Yeah, we had this shooting in Oklahoma. You heard about it. It's made the rounds. 3 young people break into a house. They got on masks, got brass knuckles. The only reason you have brass knuckles is you planned to hurt somebody a lot with them. The problem was when they got in there, there was the son of the man that owned the house, and the son was, I want to say either 23 or 26. I saw two different reports on that. But he had an AR-15. It was loaded, and he knew what to do with it. So he shot him. It's a pretty simple deal. You kick in a door, you come in with a weapon, you get shot. Done deal. It's like the whole deal of, Trayvon Martin. Yeah, well, Trayvon Martin was killed while he was committing a felonious, deadly assault. Yeah, well, what about Brown and Ferguson? Yeah, he was killed while he was committing a felonious, deadly assault. If you commit a felony and you try to hurt people and you get shot, that is a logical, natural consequence. And in this case, 3 people got shot and killed. The father of one of them is now saying, well, you'll love this. Wait for it. I cannot make this up. They didn't have an AR-15. He had an AR-15. That's not fair. Okay, I'm good with that. It's not fair. It's not supposed to be fair. It's supposed to win. It's not about being fair. What's that T-shirt? It says, if you find yourself in a fair fight, your tactics suck. Yeah, it's not supposed to be fair. All right, John wrote this. Just saw this. Guy I know. It's a little long, but it's worth it. Hang in there. He says, anyone who breaks into someone else's house wearing a mask should reasonably expect to be met with any of a variety of responses from the homeowner, including 1, screaming in fear, 2, dialing 911, 3, running and hiding, 4, yelling, get out, 5, crying, 6, whizzing on themselves. He put it differently. 7, yielding to the intruder. 8, gunshot by handgun. 9, gunshot by shotgun. 10, gunshot by rifle. 11, stabbing. 12, bashing with baseball bat. 13, bashing with fireplace poker. 14, throwing books at the intruder. 15, paint cans on a rope swinging from the ceiling, a la Home Alone. Take your pick. He continues, if you wish to break into my house, the choices will be fewer. But they're my choices, not the intruder's. Any intruder into my home, John says, only risk being shot and or cut. And they will only be shot by a rifle and or handgun. And an intruder will only be cut until they can be shot. Or if they can't physically be shot. In other words, if they run away. It's pretty simple, he says. My doors remain locked. If you go to the trouble of breaking my doors or windows to enter my locked house, I'll immediately be in fear of death or severe bodily injury for myself or my family. And I am determined that I and my family will be the survivors of the encounter. I frankly don't care if you've broken in carrying a feather duster. The mere fact that the break-in suggests that you're prepared to seriously hurt or kill someone inside my home. If, after breaking in with a feather duster and seeing that they're seriously outmatched, an intruder suddenly has the good sense to flee, I'll refrain from shooting. It's just good manners. Pretty well covers it. When you break into a home, you should expect to be killed. Oh, that's just young people make mistakes. Yep. Some of them are not recoverable. Young people should understand that if you break into a home, there should be an expectation that you will be shot and killed. Occupational hazard. If you get away with it, good, but don't expect to get away with it. Just think, okay, I'm probably going to get killed when I do this. The fact that that doesn't happen enough, often, might account for why people think they can continue to do it and get away with it. If more of them were made to assume room temperature as a result of their endeavors, perhaps some of them would rethink that situation and the risk-reward ratio would shift, and they wouldn't engage in that particular activity. Why shoot them with a rifle because it's simply better than a handgun. How much better is it? Roughly 3 times better. Roughly 3 times better. You would use a handgun because that's all you had. But if you're in your home, you use a shotgun or a rifle. It simply works. In this case, 3 of them were shot, 3 of them were dead, and the police are saying it was a good shoot. These guys did not have any previous relationship. A failure in the victim selection process. 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
If you carry a gun, you need training. Your concealed carry class was definitely not training. But time, money, and obligations keep you from spending days at a shooting school. The trusted folks at Gun Talk can help. Concealed Carry 1, our DVD featuring the VADA Group, covers what gun, what holster, how to carry, where to wear your gun, and much more. Visit shopguntalk.com. That's shopguntalk.com. Look, this really is life and death. Learn how to stay aware, how to get away, and how to fight if you must. At shopguntalk.com, you can get the 2 DVD set, including Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. No matter what gun you carry, this vital training info can save your life. Learn the draw, the stance, reloading, vital gear from Gun Talk. That's shopguntalk.com. shopguntalk.com.
For more than 70 years, Timney Triggers has been enhancing the shooter's experience. Whether it's a local competition, a day at the range, or even the hunt of a lifetime. Setting the standard in aftermarket triggers, Timney is now producing more than 170 models of triggers for bolt-action rifles, shotguns, AR rifles, and semi-automatic rifles. Proudly made in the USA since 1946. Find your new trigger at timneytriggers.com.
Back with you, 866-TALK-GUN. Tim's been on hold for a while. Appreciate it, Tim. Line 3 at Carson City, Nevada. You went shooting. What happened?
Hey, Tom. Hey, so we were doing some drills. I was taking some training from a highly experienced instructor, doing some drills, shooting on the move with steel targets and using 223s, and ended up shooting one target, and I caught a piece of it, a shattered part of it, because I caught a little bit of it in my elbow. And I think, obviously, we're too close. So my question is, first of all, I want to point out, if circumstances had been different, if it had been a few inches different, and if I didn't have eye protection, that would have been a really bad day. The other thing, too, is in terms of distance from some of these steel targets, in terms of where you get splatter back from when the target is hit, as to what your guidance might be.
How far were you?
I'm going to guess maybe it could be about 15 yards.
Oh, hell. That's close for a handgun. No, 223 is 100. One football field, 100 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. I take it you were not using frangible ammo. Nah. Okay. This highly experienced instructor, take him off your list. Simple as that. This is a guy who puts you at risk. He put everybody at serious risk. Let me suggest something else. Yeah, certainly could come back and hit your eye. At that distance, you could have enough energy for that thing to come back and go right into your chest and cut your aorta. Oh.
Yeah.
Intot. I never thought of that.
As it is, we had a combat medic there that the piece lodged in my elbow, and he took it out, and I have it. I'm going to frame it. And,
yeah. Well, once again, we trust these guys who are supposed to be the super duper, trainer guys. Not everybody who grows an operator beard knows what he's doing. Not everybody who shaves his head really knows what he's doing. And frankly, not everybody who has been in the sandbox and been in Special Forces and been a Ranger in SEAL Team Delta actually is a good instructor. So it's up to us to understand this stuff. 15 yards is probably as close as I want to be with a handgun. Any closer than that, I want frangible ammo. 100 yards for a .223 for steel. No closer. People go, oh, yeah, well, I do it all the time. Okay, great. You can still get hurt seriously. So I'm glad you're okay, Tim, and I'm glad you brought it up, and give me a chance to talk about it. Thank you, sir. Let's go to Mike in Anchorage, Alaska on line 1. Hey, Mike, you're on Gun Talk.
Hey, Tom, thanks for taking the call. I want to thank you for bringing up the Rotary International and gun control on your program a couple weeks ago. I heard it on the way back from church Sunday morning and texted a couple friends, and we've really shaken up District 5010. They don't know what to do with us.
Well, for those who don't know, Rotary International issued a directive to the Rotary clubs, particularly in the U.S. You can't use guns for fundraisers. You can't have shooting events for fundraisers. You basically can't have anything to do with guns. And I remember when I lived in Anchorage, I think there were at least 5 Rotary clubs. There was one every day. You could go to a Rotary meeting somewhere in town every day. So Rotary's a big deal up in Anchorage. Yeah,
you're absolutely correct. And there's 7 or 8 codes that, and I'm not an attorney, a layman. There's 6, 7 codes. Page 227, item C. It says support. RI will not accept supports the use of addictive or harmful products, activities including but not limited to alcohol, in parentheses, when inappropriate in a specific cultural context, whatever that means. Tobacco, gambling, guns, weapons, or armaments. So we could not even have Fish and Game the way we are reading it. We could not have Alaska Fish and Game and come in and give us a program on hunting in Alaska.
So what are the clubs doing there? What are the chapters doing? I mean, because I'm sure there are a lot of Rotary clubs all over the country who are going, wait a minute, you guys need to rethink this. So what's going on?
It has gotten to the national organization. We have a district conference coming up in a few weeks, and it will be brought up then. I can
do me a favor, when you hear what happens with that district conference, let me know, okay?
Okay, I sure will. You can't believe how many people I believe are going to leave Rotary.
Oh, I can. I can believe there would be thousands upon thousands of people who are saying, bye, see ya, don't need you. We could form our own group. We could form our own public service-oriented group here. We don't need your name. We'll just have the same people meet on the same day at the same place, change the name, get a different plaque, and we'll still continue to help our community. I see that happening all over the country if Rotary doesn't get its act together. And it's going to be up to, and thanks for the call, Mike, it's going to be up to the Rotary clubs in the U.S. and the U.S. Rotary to tell Rotary International, change this or lose thousands of members and tens of millions of dollars. And that'll be the final thing that actually will possibly get something to change for them. If you're in Rotary, let me know. Are you guys talking about it? What's going on there? 866-TALK-GUN. What would you do if people broke in with brass knuckles and a knife? We're talking about this self-defense shooting in Oklahoma. Young man at home, 3 people break in. They're armed. He grabs an AR, shoots them all. 2 die, drop right there. 3rd one, I think, got to the driveway before he died. If you have not done it yet, you ought to go online. You can find the 911 call of this young man when he called 911, reported it. It is exemplary. It is so good. Frank is actually in Oklahoma, probably hearing an awful lot about this on line 4. Frank, what are you hearing there?
Well, one, I was glad they finally did decide what they did, because last I'd heard they were still investigating, which was 2 days afterwards, which I thought was kind of ridiculous. But when they said they came in with brass knuckles, knife, and I didn't get a clear hair, but the 3rd one had a weapon of some kind of advancing on him.
Okay, so they got a knife, got brass knuckles, and they got a club or a bat or something. They're coming in. So they're not there bringing party favors. They're bringing weapons after physically, violently breaking into a home. And a lot of people say, well, he didn't have to shoot him. Well, what do you think he should have done? Just say, okay, I'll box you? I mean, the only way that you stop them from advancing is you shoot them, and you shoot them enough, and you shoot them with a good enough caliber and good enough bullets to where they stop doing what they're doing.
Right.
All right. So yeah, it looks like you got a question.
When somebody breaks it.
Go ahead.
Shooting lead bullets in a .45 caliber semi-auto, like a 1911 or Glock.
Mm-hmm. Well, 2 different things. One is, you said 1911 or a Glock. That's like apples and kumquats. In a 1911, not a problem. In a Glock, no. Not with a factory barrel. It's the way their barrels are made. They specifically say do not shoot lead bullets in Glock barrels. But if you change out your Glock barrel and put like a Wolf barrel or something like that in it, you can shoot lead bullets in your Glock just fine.
Steel, instead of brass, steel. I've got a revolver with a ACP, and that's what I'm going to shoot that mo up in.
Okay, I missed some of that. I think your phone is cutting out, and I apologize for that. But I am going to have to move on, because once we get bad phones, they usually just get worse. So, but I think we have handled the lead bullets. Yes, in 1911, no in a Glock, unless you change the barrel out to an aftermarket barrel. Line 3, Charlie's with us out of Bremerton, Washington. Charlie, you looking for a holster?
No, actually, I found one, Tom, and I'm going to recommend it to you since we both share a love of the Ruger GP 144 Special. It's from a guy named Matt Whitefield, Whitfield, MDWhitefield.com. He's a little holster manufacturer in Brackettville, Texas, of all places. He makes a holster called a Western Concealed Carry. It's a leather holster, and I figured I'd give the guy a chance. Small one-man shop. Ordered one, and I love it. It's a pancake holster. It pretty much the only thing that sticks out is the butt of the revolver. Pulls the butt in nice and close to the body, and it's really comfortable to wear. And he did a great job. It's a working holster for a working gun.
That is fabulous. I'm looking. He's got a Facebook page, MD Whitefield Leather Holsters. MD Whitefield Leather looks like that is the website, MDWhitefieldleather.com. I would also, and I do love leather holsters. Milt Sparks, Lobo Gun Leather, and let's see, the belts from AG Custom Leather. Also, of course, if you're looking for good leather leather belts, don't forget our good friends over at Crossbreed Holsters making some really cool stuff. And now that it's summertime and we're not wearing our cover garments as much, a tuckable holster like Crossbreed Holsters puts out, I would certainly recommend you take a good look at those. But, a good holster is a thing of beauty, and it's just a wonderful thing. You got a holster that you like? Let me know. 866-TALK-GUN.